Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 9 Part 67 based on novel. So let's start. Tang Xinlian's delicate body shot forward. The 20-plus top experts from the Flame Divine Hall behind her, who had stepped into the profound death stage, focused their eyes. Even those Flame Divine Hall elders, who had entered the perfect profound death stage, also moved. The four of them guarded Tang Xinlian and kept her protected between them. Lin Dong looked at Tang Xinlian, who was surrounded and guarded by many top experts from the Flame Divine Hall. He was quietly speechless. Those elders clearly possessed an extremely high status in the Flame Divine Hall. However, they did not question Tang Xinlian's orders. Clearly, all of them acknowledged Tang Xinlian's abilities in their hearts. Given Tang Xinlian's age, it was truly a remarkable fact for her to be able to do so. This girl truly possessed abilities that would cause one's expression to change. It's no wonder Mo Luo felt comfortable enough to leave the forces of the Flame Divine Hall in her command. The strength of this girl and her talent was already incredible. However, it seems like her leadership ability surpasses all her other abilities. Elder Sister Xinlian is truly impressive. Mu Lingshan looked at Tang Xinlian, who was rushing forward while being guarded by many top experts from the Flame Divine Hall. She involuntarily spoke with envy. Lin Dong smiled and nodded. He rubbed Mu Lingshan's small head and said, "Where is Miss Ji Yumingqi's group? I asked them to leave." Mu Lingshan laughingly said. Lin Dong finally relaxed after hearing this. The subsequent fight in the Fiery Flame City would be a truly frightening one. If Ji Yumingqi's group ended up being caught up in it, it was likely that none of them would be able to escape. What a frightening battle! Lin Dong sighed softly in his heart. He lifted his head to look at the spacious sky. At this moment, three figures were facing each other in the distant sky. It was the battlefield of Mo Luo, Qing Shi, and King Qianming. Moreover, it was also the top-level fight here. The victory of either side would determine the fate of the other group. Although Tang Xinlian was able to fight a demon general by commanding several experts from the Flame Divine Hall, it was impossible for her to pose a threat against a king-rank Yimo. Against a creature at that level, it was very difficult to make up for the disparity in strength with numbers alone. Under the peak-level battleground were three separate areas. Two of them were taken by Mu Lan and Elder Kai Yun. Both of them were fighting against one Yimo general on their own. Both parties were considered to be at the Samsara stage. Hence, unless they used some killing moves, they were more or less equally matched. In fact, their battles would most likely end up in a stalemate. The final battleground was where the Flame Divine Army, led by Tang Xinlian and the many experts, were gathered. This was considered as the most unstable battleground. Although the Flame Divine Hall had the advantage in terms of numbers, they could not reveal even the slightest opening. Otherwise, if the Yimo general was to take advantage of it and attack them, the formation would be broken and the subsequent battle would undoubtedly become completely lopsided. After all, no matter how one puts it, attempting to surround and attack a Samsara stage super expert was no easy task. Although there was great risk involved, Lin Dong unknowingly felt quite a great deal of confidence. He believed that with Tang Xinlian's abilities, she should be able to unleash the strength of her Flame Divine Hall to its full potential. Hence, it was unlikely for her to show her opponent any openings. Previously, he had enjoyed the limelight during the competition. However, right now, the main focus of attention in this earth-shaking battle was Tang Xinlian. The Flame Fairy of the Flame Divine Hall, whose name was renowned across the entire chaotic demon sea, shall allow everyone to see a side of her that would astound everyone. Swoosh! A rushing sound was suddenly transmitted from the distance while Lin Dong lifted his head to observe the standoff between the large army and the Yimo general, who was covered with a monstrous aura. A figure landed beside Lin Dong. Turning his head, Lin Dong saw that the person was actually the Little Elephant King, Zhu Zi. Lin Dong had good vibes about this man. Immediately, he nodded in a friendly manner towards him. Zhu Zi smiled. He arrived beside Lin Dong and lifted his head to look at Tang Xinlian, who was guarded by many top experts from the Flame Divine Hall. A complicated fondness flashed across his handsome face. She is an extremely attractive girl, am I right? Zhu Zi laughed. Lin Dong was startled. Promptly, he nodded inexplicably. He was aware that Zhu Zi was truly fond of Tang Xinlian. However, he did not know if this was a one-sided affair. I fell in love with her the first time I met her. However, it seems like she has only seen me as a friend during all these years. Zhu Zi muttered. Lin Dong's head was foggy. He did not understand why Zhu Zi was uttering such baffling words to him. Previously, that was the first time I ever saw her act in that way. She is a good girl. Please treasure her. Zhu Zi finally patted Lin Dong's shoulder while wearing a complicated expression. However, the words he spoke caused the latter's face to turn green. Zhu Zi sighed after he spoke. He did not say anything more as he turned around and left. His back appeared quite bleak. Hey! Lin Dong cried out. However, Zhu Zi merely waved his hand. After which, his body shot forward. There was a voice drifting over from the distance. Although this place is chaotic, I believe that she should be able to deal with that Yimo general with her abilities. I shall not stay here any longer. This is truly... Lin Dong was speechless. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. After which, he tossed all these messy issues out of his head. Subsequently, he lifted his head and looked at the battleground in the sky in a grave fashion. The atmosphere at that place was truly becoming increasingly intense. A bunch of trash actually dares to stop this general. You are all courting death. The Yimo general called Lang Mo crossed his arms over his chest and looked at the distant large army of the Flame Divine Hall. His face, which was covered with golden lines, contained a smile filled with ridicule. Tang Xinlian's pretty eyes were calm as she stared at the General Lang Mo. The Fire Phoenix spear in her hand suddenly lifted as she coldly cried out, "All elders, Sky-Earth unison skill." Yes. 28 profound death stage peak level experts, including the 4 elders, who had stepped into the perfect profound death stage, cried out in unison. The seals formed by them changed before many frightening red light shot out from within their bodies. After which, they crisscrossed and connected the 28 of them together in an extremely complicated orbit. Tang Xinlian was located in the middle of the orbit. Many bright red light rays shot out. Finally, they connected directly onto her body. If one was to observe carefully, it seemed to have formed an extremely mysterious formation. After the final red light was successfully connected, a vast and mighty ocean-like yuan power fluctuation erupted. The 29 auras within it actually began to show signs of merging in an extremely mysterious manner. Lin Dong was in shock when he saw this sight. He could sense that the aura of the 29 of them within the formation seemed to have become extremely balanced. Even the yuan power within their bodies were connected together. Rather than saying that they were 29 individuals, it was more appropriate to say that they were a single entity. However, connecting together was an extremely dangerous technique. If the delicate balance was disturbed, it would cause the entire system to collapse. Clearly, the center of this formation was Tang Xinlian. She was controlling and distributing the majestic yuan power that came from the 28 top-level experts. They are actually able to reach this level. Lin Dong's eyes were solemn. Tang Xinlian might not be considered outstanding amongst these top experts of the Flame Divine Hall. However, she was able to distribute the majestic yuan power until an equilibrium was achieved. This was something that even Lin Dong could not do. What a skilled little lass. When General Lang Mo saw this scene, the ridicule on his face diminished slightly. He could sense that the 29 top Flame Divine Hall experts had already merged into a single entity. Their attacks and defense could be described as perfectly synced. However, this general will let all of you know that all techniques are useless in the face of absolute strength. General Lang Mo cried out in a low voice before he clenched his hand. Monstrous Yimo Chi gathered and directly turned into a huge black pike, which was filled with mysterious lines. Charge! An icy cold cry was suddenly emitted from Tang Xinlian's mouth. Bright red light shot towards the sky and the 29 individuals rushed forward at the same time. The fiery red long spear in her hand drew an arc. It was accompanied by a shocking ripple as it rushed towards the lethal spots on General Lang Mo with lightning-like speed. Clang, clang, clang. The black pike in General Lang Mo's hand shook. It directly formed many pike shadows that took down the many sharp spear shadows in an extremely overbearing manner. Bang, bang. Wild and violent energy exploded in the sky as a shocking ripple swept apart. However, the formation formed by Tang Xinlian and 28 other men did not budge. Tang Xinlian's pretty face was icy cold. She held tightly onto the long spear with her hand before she jerked it suddenly. Murderous aura soared in the eyes of the 28 top experts before their auras became one. After which, they formed a terrifying attack that could overturn mountains and seas, and directed it towards General Lang Mo, who was gradually becoming serious. Lin Dong lifted his head. He revealed a stunned expression as he looked at the mysterious formation that was engaging in a battle with General Lang Mo. Both his eyes narrowed. His head turned towards the four flame divine hall armies in the sky. There was a shocking ripple vaguely present at that spot. Although Lin Dong did not know what it was obvious that it was a powerful follow-up skill that Tang Xinlian had in play. This lass. Even Lin Dong had to admit that she was indeed a little frightening. Although their opponent this time around was an ultimate Samsara stage expert, there was no way to predict the final result. Majestic Yuan power swept across the sky like a storm. The startling momentum caused many onlookers to be shocked as they quickly withdrew from Fiery Flame City. Bang! A mysterious array was formed by 29 figures in the sky. Majestic Yuan power flowed like a stream, connected everyone together. This allowed their auras to be in a state of extreme equilibrium. When they attacked and defended, it was as if they were a single being. Swoosh! The 29 sharp spear shadows penetrated through the empty space at the same time. After which, the spear shadows began to merge together in a peculiar fashion. Finally, accompanied by a terrifying strength, it was ruthlessly directed towards General Lang Mo, whose monstrous aura filled the sky. Sky Wolf Slash. General Lang Mo looked at this fearsome attack. He laughed coldly as he clenched his hand. Majestic demonic aura directly gathered in his hand. Finally, it transformed into 1,000 feet large giant black blade. A ferocious black wolf on the blade howled towards the sky before he suddenly slashed it downwards furiously. Kai? The blade slashed downwards and the space was immediately split apart. The attack was not yet completed, but a 10,000 feet large deep gully had already appeared on the ground below. This terrifying strength caused one's heart to shudder. Clang! Spear shadow and blade light clashed. After which, a shocking sound resounded. Every building within 1,000 feet radius was directly blown into dust. Huge cracks spread like glaring spiderweb on the ground. 29 figures withdrew in the sky in illusion before all their bodies jerked. The eroding force that was headed their way was perfectly intercepted by them. In this way, that terrifying attack, which could seriously injure a perfect profound death stage expert, only left minor injuries on all of them. What a mysterious skill that unites their bodies. Lin Dong wore a surprised expression as he observed the intense fight in the sky. He could clearly sense that the energy of the 29 people in the formation had been basically united together. Their offensive strength increased by 29 times, while the damage that they received would be 1 out of 29. Even Lin Dong involuntarily felt a little shocked in the face of this mysterious formation. It's no wonder Tang Xinlian had the confidence to fight against that Yimo general. Kill! Tang Xinlian's bright eyes were icy cold. Her pretty face turned slightly pale because of that ferocious clash previously. However, it was soon replenished by waves of majestic Yuan power that surged into her body. The fire phoenix spear in her hand shook and began to hum. With a cold cry, the 29 of them once again shot forward as one. Bang, bang, bang. The shocking clash continued to erupt in the sky. The formation formed by 29 individuals controlled the surging Yuan power and continuously fought with General Lang Mo, who was surrounded by a monstrous aura. The towering buildings below were all turned into dust under the waves of energy ripples radiating in the sky. Lin Dong stared at the increasingly intense battle before his eyes turned slightly cold. With the help of his outstanding mental energy, he was able to vaguely detect that with the flow of time, the ferocity of the Yimo generals' attacks gradually pushed the 29 of them into a disadvantage. After all, there was too large of a gap between the profound death stage and the samsara stage. Even though Tang Xinlian's group had used the formation to become one, there was ultimately still a gap between them and a true samsara stage expert. Therefore, even though they might be able to temporarily fight against a samsara stage expert by relying on the formation, with the flow of time, various flaws would be eventually exposed. Clearly, Tang Xinlian had to use another technique before these flaws were completely exposed. Otherwise, they would be scattered by the Yimo general once the formation was broken. Without their combined strength, they were no match for the Yimo general in a one-on-one fight. It is time to change things. Lin Dong looked at the fiery red brilliant figure in the middle of the 28 top experts of the Flame Divine Hall and muttered. Bang! The 1,000 feet large golden demonic wings on the back of General Lang Mo was extended in a manner that blotted out the sun. Demonic chi swept apart. His demonic wings were like extremely sharp weapons as they penetrated through the air and appeared above Tang Xinlian's formation with a swoosh sound. It subsequently came slashing down furiously. Flame Divine Mountain. Tang Xinlian's group stared at the golden demonic wings that were charging towards them. Their eyes turned exceptionally grave. It was likely that they had detected how powerful the incoming attack from General Lang Mo was. Immediately, mighty Yuan power whizzed out from their bodies and formed a 10,000 feet large flaming mountain above them. What a joke! When General Lang Mo saw the defenses set up by Tang Xinlian's group, cold ridicule was lifted on the corner of his mouth. Meanwhile, a cold glint glimmered in his eyes. Creak! The black ray of light tore through the cloud like a black curtain. After which, it struck violently against the top of the flaming mountain. Immediately, a crack began to spread from the peak at a shocking rate. Boom! A terrifying Yuan power ripple swept over from the sky before the huge flaming mountain collapsed. Wild and violent Yuan power spread like floodwater. Groan asterisk. Moans were emitted from Tang Xinlian's 29-men group after the flaming mountain was broken. A trace of blood appeared on the corner of their mouths. Do you really think that you can rely on a so-called formation to block a samsara stage expert? The golden demon wings behind General Lang Mo flapped gently. He looked at Tang Xinlian's group, whose aura had become somewhat chaotic, and laughed coldly. Tang Xinlian's bright eyes stared back at General Lang Mo. She also laughed coldly and said, "It is a little too early for you to be celebrating." What a razor-tongued girl. After I break your formation, I wonder if you still dare to talk in such an arrogant fashion. General Lang Mo spoke in a stern manner. The golden demon wings on his back suddenly spread. His gigantic appearance was quite frightening. However, General Lang Mo's expression suddenly changed after he spread his monstrous demon wings. He suddenly lifted his head and saw that there was an extremely shocking ripple being emitted from all directions. The source of this fluctuation were the 4 armies of the Flame Divine Hall. Bright red light spread. Each of them vaguely had their own 100,000 feet large formation light symbol rising from within the army. Clamor star. The sea of people outside of Fiery Flame City had startled expressions when they saw the change in the sky. It was likely that they did not expect Tang Xinlian was hiding some other technique. What a cunning lass! General Lang Mo's eyes were solemn. Even he could detect some danger from the 100,000 feet large formation light plate located in 4 different locations. Clearly, Tang Xinlian only intended to tie him down in order to provide sufficient time for the 4 armies to set up their respective formation. You flatter me. Tang Xinlian laughed coldly. An icy chill surged from within her bright, bewitching and pretty eyes. A cold cry resounded within the surroundings. All 4 armies listen up. Divine for Saint Beast Sealing Demon Formation. Yes. Countless orderly cries reverberated across the sky like thunder roars. Bright light suddenly surged across the sky and the natural Yuan power began to boil. The 4 surrounding 100,000 feet light plate began to rotate. In fact, it was possible to vaguely see a green dragon, black tortoise, white tiger, and vermilion bird being formed on the light plates. Dream on if you wish to suppress this general. General Lang Mo cried out furiously before he clenched his large hand. Monstrous demonic chi swept over and actually transformed into 100,000 feet black light ring. A sharp howl rumbled from the light ring in the sky. Even the space itself became distorted. Great sky demon eroding sun ring. General Lang Mo slammed his palm forward. That 100,000 feet black light ring blotted out the sun and whizzed towards a large army. Swoosh! Fire lotus flame shield, block. However, the space in front was distorted as the frightening black light came whistling forth. The formation that was formed by 29 individuals appeared in a flash. Vast and mighty Yuan power gathered and directly transformed into an incomparably huge lotus flaming shield. Bang! An earth-shaking loud sound spread rapidly as huge fire snakes sprouted off in all directions. The 29 figures covered by the formation barrier ended up being pushed back in defeat. Muffled moans sounded as they involuntarily spat out some blood. Formation, activate. Tang Xinlian's hand rubbed off the trace of blood on the corner of her mouth. Nonetheless, she showed no intention of pulling back. Instead, a cold cry suddenly sounded. Rumble. After her cry sounded, one could see the four formations in the sky suddenly beginning to rotate rapidly. Light rays swept from them. Subsequently, they crisscrossed with each other and gathered in the sky. The four light plates connected together and directly turned into a hundreds of thousands of feet large frightening formation. For spiritual images accompanied the formation. The formation directly trapped General Lang Mo within. The four spiritual beasts suddenly roared towards the sky before all of them rushed forward simultaneously. The green dragon swung its dragon tail, the white tiger bit with its teeth, black tortoise pressed downwards while vermilion bird flapped its wings. All of them firmly trapped that Lang Mo. Buzz buzz. Many mysterious and complicated light symbols were formed in the surroundings. After which, they came pestering after the Yimo general. The rate in which they entwined around the latter suggested that there was no end to them. Get lost! General Lang Mo howled furiously as monstrous demonic aura surged. He held a huge spear in his hand. The spear shot out in an overbearing fashion as it attempted to break the formation. However, the formation was already formed successfully and it was a formation created by the four armies. Clearly, even with his Samsara stage strength, it would be extremely difficult for him to break free in a short period of time. When Tang Xinlian saw the large formation gradually trembling due to Lang Mo's resistance, her pretty eyes became focused. It was unexpected that a formation at this level was still unable to completely suppress this Yimo general. Gather! Tang Xinlian inhaled a deep breath of air before the seals formed by her hands changed. Suddenly, many light pillars came pouring down onto the formation. One of them landed onto Lin Dong on the ground below. The light pillar covered Lin Dong, preventing others from seeing what was going on. Under the cover of the light pillar, Lin Dong heard Tang Xinlian's somewhat anxious voice sounding within his ears. Lin Dong, hurry up, activate the power of the ancestral symbol. Suppress him. Lin Dong's eyes hardened before he nodded solemnly. It was far too difficult to deal with the Yimo Chi. One still had to rely on the strength of an ancestral symbol to suppress it. Understood. Finally, the time had come for Lin Dong to act. A concentrated light pillar descended from the sky and covered Lin Dong's body within. He was within the light pillar, but he was still able to see everything that was happening in the outside world clearly. Tang Xinlian was clearly extremely cautious in the way she acted. She knew that Lin Dong did not want others to know that he owns an ancestral symbol. Hence, when asking for his help, she cut off any clues that could possibly leak this information. Lin Dong, we are only able to trap the Yimo general. In order to suppress and seal it, we will need the strength of the ancestral symbols. All you need to do is to do your best to activate the ancestral symbol. The energy from the formation will provide you with assistance. Next, it will be all up to you. Tang Xinlian's somewhat anxious voice spread within the light pillar. Yimo Chi is a unique energy from the Yimo, and this type of energy did not exist in this world. Hence, it was extremely difficult to deal with, and this also resulted in the Yimo possessing an extremely strong life force. There was already a gap between the strength of Tang Xinlian's group and that of the Yimo. Thus, it was already a feat to be able to trap it for now. Lin Dong nodded slightly upon hearing this. Without further ado, he sat down with his legs crossed. Now that he no longer had to worry about his secret being discovered, he no longer had to hold back. An extremely deep black light was the first to whiz out from the top of Lin Dong's head. This black light was similar to the Yimo Chi. However, the former was mysterious and unfathomable, while that latter was evil and cold. They could not coexist in the same plane. Whoosh whoosh. The black light slowly spread before it quickly transformed into a rotating black hole. Some of the surrounding bright energy light pillars began to emit some energy light spots. After which, all of them were forcefully devoured into that black hole. Bang! Lin Dong suddenly clenched his hand after the black hole appeared. Bright lightning glow gathered in his hand before countless lightning snakes whizzed out and circled around him. At this moment, he looked just like the Lightning Emperor, majestic and domineering. Black lightning crazily agglomerated together. At the same time, waves of terrifying ripples were emitted at a shocking speed. Tang Xinlian's eyes were grave as she focused on the black lightning gathered within the light pillar. Her hand involuntarily tightened. Xinlian, can we rely on him alone? An elder from the Flame Divine Hall lowered his head and involuntarily asked. Although all of them had witnessed Lin Dong's tremendous strength previously, this General Lang Mo in front of them was much stronger compared to Hua Chen and Xu Xiu. Even by combining the strength of their entire Flame Divine Hall, they were merely able to trap this General Lang Mo thanks to Tang Xinlian's perfect leadership skill. Standing beside them, the few elders from the Flame Divine Hall nodded upon hearing this. There was worry present in their eyes. They had finally managed to trap the General Lang Mo after much pain. If Lin Dong was unable to complete the final step, all of their efforts would have came to naught. Tang Xinlian's long pretty eyes narrowed slightly after hearing the doubts of the surrounding elders. A faint smile quickly rose on her face. Back when Master first said that we might have eventually rely on Lin Dong in this competition, I did not believe him as well. However, the eventual reality told me that this person was always able to create a miracle. Hence, I choose to trust him now. All the elders faced each other upon seeing this. Their eyes appeared somewhat strange. Tang Xinlian's face quickly reddened upon seeing this. She involuntarily chided in an embarrassed and angry voice, "What are all of you thinking of?" The elders laughed dryly before quickly changing the topic. Although Tang Xinlian was considered as someone from the younger generation, her position in the Flame Divine Hall was not inferior to theirs. Rumble. The black lightning within the light pillar became increasingly wild and violent while they chatted. The strength caused those 4 Flame Divine Hall elders, who had stepped into the perfect profound death stage, to focus their eyes. They quietly sighed. The ancestral symbols were indeed powerful. However, it seemed like there was still a big gap when compared to Mo Luo. Black light rippled around Lin Dong's body. He suddenly lifted his head. At this moment, one of his eyes seemed as dark as the night sky, and there was seemingly a black hole rotating within it and devouring everything. On the other hand, there was a lightning flickering in his other eye. It seemed to contain the Thunder World, and various forms of violence formed within it. Go! The Yuan power within Lin Dong's body galloped wildly. Suddenly, he violently swung both his hands. A black dragon and a silver dragon rushed out from his palms. They bared their claws and roared before they ruthlessly charged into the surrounding huge energy pillar. Buzz! The bright energy pillar began to rage after these 2 majestic energy were poured into it. After which, there was a black glow and a lightning glow quietly permeating over the 100,000 feet light formation in the sky. Boom boom! General Lang Mo flapped his golden demon wings as he stood at the middle of the formation. Gathering his monstrous demonic aura, he continued to fight with the 4 spiritual beasts. However, it was evident that he was gradually beginning to gain the upper hand as this stalemate continued. Bang! General Lang Mo suddenly threw a punch forward. Majestic demonic aura transformed into countless number of ferocious wolves that ruthlessly collided against the green dragon spirit's light figure. A terrifying fluctuation directly shook the green dragon figure until it became a little illusory. Ha ha, is this your final technique? Completely worthless. General Lang Mo laughed out loud towards the sky. Flapping his demonic wings, he was accompanied by a monstrous demonic aura as his attack swept forward in a ferocious fashion, with each wave becoming stronger than the next. However, General Lang Mo's eyes suddenly shrunk as he laughed out loud. The four spiritual beasts once again pounced at him. However, black lightning beams suddenly shot out from their huge mouths. Promptly, these black lightning beams actually turned into huge chains that firmly entwined around him. Humph! General Lang Mo's eyes became cold. Yimo Chi swept out as he attempted to erode those chains. However, the Yimo Chi, which had taken the upper hand previously, emitted a deafening screeching noise. In fact, the black lightning chain surrounding his body seemed to grow tighter. This unexpected occurrence caused the expression of General Lang Mo to be greatly altered. However, he was no ordinary pushover. His eyes quickly turned cold before the golden light symbols on his back wings began to peel off. Following which, his body actually began to swell at a shocking speed. Bang bang! Within a short 10 breaths, General Lang Mo's body actually became 10,000 feet in size. Demonic chi swept out from behind him in a monstrous fashion. From a distance away, he looked like a demon that could destroy the world. Creak creak! The huge black lightning chains entwined around General Lang Mo's body began to emit a creaking sound as his body swelled. Clearly, it was beginning to crack. Tang Xinlian's group watched this scene from the sky. The expressions in their eyes became increasingly solemn. The ancestral symbol's strength that Lin Dong had unleashed was greatly enhanced after passing through their formation. Nonetheless, it was still not an easy task to suppress this General Lang Mo. Moreover, at this moment, it was clear that they could not provide him with much assistance. Everything would depend on Lin Dong's own abilities. Lin Dong, do your best. Tang Xinlian's bright eyes stared at the figure within the light pillar, before she involuntarily clenched her fist tightly. However, she knew that Lin Dong was merely at the perfect profound life stage. Even though he had two great ancestral symbols, it was clearly impossible for him to completely unleash the strength of those two great ancestral symbols. Bang! Lin Dong was expressionless. Both his palms struck forward once again. The two colored light dragons, which were filled with devouring power and thunderbolt strength respectively, once again whizzed forward. After which, they charged into the formation. If one was to observe carefully, one would discover that there were wiggling veins on both of Lin Dong's arms. Clearly, he was using every bit of his powers to activate the strength of the two great ancestral symbols. Many black lightning chains began to rush out from the 100,000 feet formation in the sky after Lin Dong crazily activated his two ancestral symbols. They appeared like many black lightning dragons that firmly entwined around the 10,000 feet large demon. Crack! General Lang Mo grabbed forward with his huge hand. Demonic chi surged as he directly broke a huge black lightning chain. Immediately, his eyes were thrown towards a distant light pillar. At this moment, he finally realized that the black lightning chains, which had irritated him tremendously, had actually originated from that spot. You ignorant fool! General Lang Mo howled furiously. He was just about to unleash an attack when an increasing number of black lightning chains suddenly shot forth. Next, they restrained him until he was completely unable to move. This general wants to see who can hold on for a longer time. General Lang Mo laughed furiously before he quickly flapped his demonic wings. The black lightning chains on his body broke an inch at a time. Many black lightning chains once again entwined around him after those chains crumbled. In a way, it ended up in a strange stalemate. However, at the current rate, it seems like the rate at which the chains were collapsing far exceeded the rate at which the chains were entwining around him. It is still insufficient, an elder said in a worried voice. Given Lin Dong's current perfect profound life stage strength, it was obvious that activating such a large number of black lightning chains was already his limit. Moreover, once Lang Mo managed to escape from the restraint, this formation would also end up crumbling. The other elders also nodded in an extremely worried manner. However, there was nothing they could do. Tang Xinlian gently bit her red lips. Her pretty eyes stared intently at the figure below, which was wrapped by a majestic black lightning glow. The Yuan power within his body will not last for long, an elder suddenly sighed a moment later. It is about to run out. Everyone looked at the increasingly slow black lightning chains that were shooting out from the large formation, before their hearts sunk. It was clearly a joke for them to expect Lin Dong, a perfect profound life stage expert, to compete against a Pneumo general in terms of their energy endurance. Even if all of them were aiding Lin Dong, this was still no easy feat to accomplish. Yuan power, exhausted once again. The majestic Yuan power originally gathered around Lin Dong at the bottom of the light pillar was completely exhausted. His face appeared exceptionally pale. Immediately, he lifted his head and looked at the 10,000 feet large demon, chuckling in a proud manner. He gently smiled before he slowly shut both his eyes. He is completely exhausted. An elder saw the black lightning chains finally coming to a halt. Immediately, he smiled bitterly. It seemed like they were going to fail this time around. Tang Xinlian bit her red lips tightly. A moment later, she inhaled a deep breath of air. Her pretty eyes once again became stern while her hand clenched tightly onto her fire phoenix spear. She spoke in a deep voice, "All elders, prepare to fight." Although they had already used every technique that they had, they must not allow this General Lang Mo to disrupt the equilibrium on the battlefield. Else, one collapsing domino could spark a chain reaction which would cause them to wound up in complete failure. Understood. The many elders replied in a deep voice upon hearing this. Tang Xinlian once again glanced at the bottom of the light pillar. She was about to turn around and declare an all-out attack when her eyes suddenly shrunk. She abruptly turned her head. Her pretty eyes contained a dense shock as she looked at the edge of the light pillar. The Yuan power at that spot, which had originally been exhausted, was recovering at an extremely rapid speed. Its strength was actually many times stronger than before. Moreover, she could detect a trace of genuine death chi fluctuation forming within the Yuan power. Hiss. Some of the Flame Divine Hall's experts around also realized it at this moment. They involuntarily inhaled a breath of cold air before all their eyes revealed shock. Their voices, which were filled with surprise, involuntarily spread across the air. He is actually breaking through to the profound death stage. This video will end here.